There's a saying that when the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there's a life about to start when tomorrow comes. And so began the life of a man whose measure of success was not determined by the amount of money in his bank account, but by the amount of lives he touched. This is the story of the life of Chief Gabriel Enyolua Mabiaku. On the 29th of July 1926, Chief Gabriel Enyolua Mabiaku was born to Chief Ariegboma Mabiaku, a descendant of Ikaye of Ologbo, the progenitor of the Iyashere family, and Mrs. Olofimbi Mabiaku of Akure. His parents taught him to value life, people, and knowledge. From 1935 to 1945, Chief Mabiaku received his primary and secondary education in Sapele and Warri, in the then Midwest state of Nigeria. With that foundation, he started his first job as a clerical staff in the United Africa Company USA Limited. And in less than 20 years, he rose to managerial status. Before retiring from USC Guinness, he worked as a manager in Ibadan, Oyo, Sapele, and Osogbo, among others. Chief Mabiaku's pioneering spirit led him to leave USC in 1962 to venture into his private business. He became a major distributor to the Nigeria Tobacco Company, NTC, and Bisco Biscuits, BMCN.
He never smoked in his life. That is the funny story in it. But he was able to market any cigarette that NTC brought into the market. That's why he became the biggest NTC distributor and dealer of Nigeria as a whole.
And I was the one handling all his insurance business. I find that it's quite straightforward. If he's in business with you, he will not attempt in any way to cheat you.
Not one to shy away from responsibility, he held various positions during his lifetime. In 1970, Chief G.E. Mabiaku was admitted as an associate member of the Nigerian Institute of Management, where he later became a fellow in 2009 and a life member in 2012. In 1971, he was elected chairman, Warri Urban District Council, an office he held until 1974. During this period, he was also appointed Justice of the Peace and later made chairman of Warri Divisional Council between 1975 and 1976, while serving as vice president, Warri Chamber of Commerce and Master National Grand Lodge of Nigeria, English Constitution. He went on to be the Deputy District Grand Master, District Grand Lodge of Nigeria, Scottish Constitution in 1978. In 1977, Chief Mabiaku was appointed Pro Tem President of the proposed Rotary Club of Warri, and by 1980 he was made Charter President of the Warri Rotary Club. Boardroom Guru, Chief G.E. Mabiaku, was also the chairman Asaba Textile Mills Limited from 1977 to 1979, when he took on the role of chairman, New Nigeria Bank Limited, until 1983. He also served as member of the board of Nigerian Dredging and Marine Limited from 1984 to 1998 and vice president, Nigeria British Chamber of Commerce in 2008. Due to his outstanding stewardship and meritorious service, Chief G.E. Mabiaku was appointed chairman and managing director of various corporate bodies, some of which include James Kilpatrick Nigeria Limited, James Quarry Limited, MOG Nigeria Limited, and G.E. Mabiaku and Sons Nigeria Limited.
His generosity when he was at these organizations has made him to be known from Oyo, Oshogbo, Ekiti, Delta. He has worked in so many places in this country, Abeokuta, and many of the kings and nobles of these towns has found him to be he has been very close to them, and he has rendered very many help to the communities wherever he finds himself.
At a very young age, from 15, he brought me into his business. I started handling things that were way above my age, I would say that. And I'm a businessman now. I'm also an architect. But my life has been guided by many of the principles I learned from Daddy.
Chief Mabiaku's reputation as an excellent leader and manager earned him a couple of awards from notable bodies including News in Africa and the Nigerian Institute of Management, NIM. Chief G.E. Mabiaku was a peace lover and bridge builder who worked diligently as chairman of the Delta Pressure Group, Ishekiri, Ijo, and Isoko, to broker the relative peace that existed during the Ijo-Ishekiri crisis from 1997 to 2014.
Whatever he could do to see that the people, all the ethnic group, lived in harmony. But one thing I know he stood for, he would not like any person to be cheated or oppressed. He would not like any minority to be oppressed. He stick to that principle. When he was dealing with Warri matter.
As mayor of Warri, he was able to bridge the gap between the various tribes because he's related to me in Isoko. He is able to bring Isoko, Urobo, Ishakiri, Ijos together because he has friends all over there. Dr. Oki was an Ijo dentist in Benin. So he brought a lot of people together as mayor, as also as his own personality.
He was one that liaised with late Chief Rowaine, Afejuku, and some other few ones. He brought peace. The Urobos, he traded with them, so he had means of bringing them close to himself and the Warri Kingdom.
He also chaired the Desugaplef, another group comprising Ishekiri, Urobo, Isoko, Ijo, and Ukwani peoples, the oil and gas producing communities of Delta State, and functioned as vice chairman of Delta State People's Elders Council, a group that worked to stabilize the people of Delta State. From 2001 to 2015, he was also a member Board of Trustees of the Reformed Ogboni Fraternity and Patron Akure Progressive Union, Warri, between 2012 and 2015.
In all these organizations, he's always among the ruling class. He has held the position that it will be very difficult to fill in most of the organization that I know him to be. And where, in fact, I'm in most of the organization where he is. And his position, he will be greatly missed. You see, because his contribution to these organizations, we don't know how to quantify it for now, because it's too early. But the impact, we shall miss him for a long time. His position will be very difficult to fill. He's one of the ruling elders in this organization. Both organizations which are Yoruba based, which are Nigerian based, and organizations which are English based.
In view of his dedication to the advancement of the Shekiri people, Chief Mabiaku was in March 1977 installed the Ogwa of Warri Kingdom, traditional Chancellor of the Exchequer, by the Olu of Warri, His Royal Majesty Erejuwa II. In November 1999, he was installed the Iyashere of Warri Kingdom, traditional Prime Minister, a highly respected and equally demanding position by the Olu of Warri, His Royal Majesty Atuashe II. He also served as the chairman, Warri National Council, from 1992 to 2011, and chairman, Warri Council of Chiefs, from 1992 to 2015. Even with the high level of success he had attained in his professional life, Chief Mabiaku, who was an avid reader, still saw the need to return to school and obtain the university education he missed out. In 1979, at the age of 53, he enrolled in the prestigious University of Lagos, where he studied business administration.
He was one of these first few distance learning students at the University of Lagos. That was the time of Professor Adadevo. He was the Vice Chancellor at Unilag. So my uncle asked me to brush him up. And I did with honor, I did with respect, because I admired him that at that level a man who has made it, what is he still looking for? And he was really looking for higher education.
At 53, my papa can't say he won't go to university by all means. That was a big one for me, man. You know? And that thing made me strike one signal to many people. I used it as a yardstick, and I used that to propel some people to go to school. I used my father as a yardstick, and I said to them, you're never too old to learn. The fact say you don't drop, you don't try WAEC once, try twice, try three, as it not work. Not me say you go give up. Come, not go try again this time. See my papa, 53 years, he just did matriculate for University of Lagos. How far? And that I used to propel a lot of people.
Sometimes I wake up midnight and I meet him. I go to his room and he's studying. You know, I'll say, this is an old man. This time of the night, he's still studying. He's still doing calculations. He's still reading. And me, I will just go and sleep. It was a challenge to me. And he knew I loved accounting. So he called me once and said, look, when you are dealing with figures, you don't just look at the figure and run through it once. Say no, go back, cross-check, and always cross-check your figures. If you have done it once, don't end there. Go back again and check your figures. And it has really helped me. So even till date, when I'm checking figures, I always remember his voice. Have you double-checked? So I go back and I check the figures.
He is the architect of what the standard at the family stands now. I gave him that credit, that through his inspiration, all of us encouraged our children to go to school, and they all went.
Chief Mabiaku believed in supporting good causes, and he always put his money where his heart was. He was a patron of several cultural and voluntary organizations. Being a lover of sports, he sponsored boxing tournaments in Midwest State for several years, donating cups and trophies for competitions in which many who went on to win gold, silver and bronze for Nigeria at international competitions were chosen. Dynamic, charming, warm-hearted, and witty, Chief Gabriel Enyoluwa Mabiaku was a rare breed indeed. He was a humble leader who loved people and strove to inspire all who came in contact with him to greater heights. For a man with so many responsibilities, Chief Mabiaku maintained a great relationship with those dearest to him, his family.
Daddy cares about everything about you. I got promoted last year, and incidentally, on the day of my promotion interview, I got a call from no one else but my father, even though I had not told him I was going for an interview. And the question he asked, have you been promoted now? That shows the kind of care he had, even up to that age. So Daddy, in total, Daddy was a caring father.
He taught me to be financially prudent. He taught me to be tenacious in anything I did, and he made me believe in myself and have a can-do attitude at all times in life.
There were certain times he told me when I was growing in school days. He said, girls and books don't go together. That you're either pursuing girls and forgetting your books, or you're pursuing your books and forgetting your girls. At least that one really did a lot, because I was more of a womanizer in my years. It's the truth. But Daddy brought that negative tide off my life.
It was when I had an exam and I went on empty stomach. I was already 15 minutes into the exam when an invigilator came in and said that a vehicle was waiting for me outside and that my dad was waiting for me, and they didn't actually let me go out, but at the end, Daddy dropped something for me to fill my stomach after the exam.
So when I finished my secondary school, my dad just took confidence in me. He didn't have a driver then, and so while going for jam lessons, I used to take my dad. In short, the first week I started driving, my dad asked me, "Can you drive?" I said, "Daddy, I can try." So I tried the first time, took him to Isiokolo, it's an uncle's car, came back. The next day, my dad asked, "Can you try again?" I said, "Well, I can try to Benin," you know. And I tried, and I went to Benin. And that same week, he asked, "Can you try to Lagos?" I said, "Well, Daddy, let me try." You know, and since then, I've been trying, you know.
Daddy would come to visit me when I was in the university with foodstuff. You know, people would see and they would say, "Oh, your mother came." And I say, "No, my father." And he was like, "How?" You know, he always used to do it. He made sure that we had enough. You know, you could tell him you have money, he would still give you some extra.
I think a strength I saw, which I still reflect on, is the fact that he could keep all of us from different wives he had in one house, and brought us all up in a way that nobody said, "This is my mom" or "That is my mom." We all lived together, worked together, and it was just one neat family. An injury to one was an injury to all, and we all stood by one another because he had that cohesiveness.
Daddy was a very strict father. In short, he was a disciplinarian. It was through him I actually learned how to speak the Ishekiri language very well. His slogan then was Afu Ishekiri, meaning speak Ishekiri language. And today I can confidently speak the language any day, anytime, anywhere.
Somewhere while I was married, I was having some issues, and Daddy called me and said, "Do you still do morning devotion?" I said, "Yes, I do it to the children." He said, "Take the prayers to your bedroom." And he would call me every morning to make sure I had the morning devotion. You know? So I always tell people, Daddy taught me how to pray. It might be, sometimes it looked negative, but sometimes there are times, I remember once I was praying and he called me and said, "From now on, don't pray more than 2 minutes." And that was when I learned how to pray long, you know. So one way or the other, I think he was the one that spurred me up to pray. And at least in my church, I still am a member of a prayer band because of that.
He was a goal setter and he set so many goals and he got to them. I remember one instance when I asked him about a particular challenge I was about going through, and he said, "No matter what you do in this life, you'll meet hurdles, but in all, you will still get to your goals when you want to get to it." For example, I read fisheries. I came out the best in fisheries in there also. I read microbiology in Uniben, and I remember when from microbiology I went to accounting in Nekboma. But he just called me one day and said, go to fisheries. I felt very bad then, but knowing the kind of person he was, I felt so relaxed about it, and I went to fisheries. And I told myself, if my dad can be this, I can also be this. And I can see my great achievement in fisheries right so far. And so far, I should be one among the best in fisheries in Nigeria so far.
I will tell you, as a father, he could tell what each child is geared towards in life. For me, as an engineer, he actually trained me at home. As an engineer, I was more of his technician at home. I was the one fixing his bulbs. I was the one fixing his TVs. I was the one turning, in those days where you had poles where you can turn for the TV. I was the one doing all that, trying to make sure there is a signal at home. And he will wait for me to make sure I'm back to fix the TV. So he was a father fully in touch. He was a father that you miss dearly. He was a father that has given me also the same training to pass on to my children.
Is usually when he came back from work, the way we used to know Daddy was back from work was we hear, who is in the garden? And everybody replies, hey, little Daddy, can I come and see him? No, follow me. And we leave everything we are doing, and everyone is scrambling upstairs to see him, to hug him, it's just a rowdy time. And that carried on through the years. And even after we grew up and left home, you call him or he calls you, and he's signing off, it is buy Gario, buy Elubo, buy, you understand? And we had a happy, fun-filled growing up at home.
Through which he touched almost every member of the family, especially the larger family, along with his nuclear family. That's something that will always live and learn by.
Oh, Chief was a very kind man, very humble and generous person. He's always there for every one of us. He's a father, a real father.
Chief was a father to all. He's always accommodating. He welcomes us. Anytime we are with Chief, a lot of fun. And I remembered my last encounter with him. He's always asking me to bring chin-chin for him from Lagos. He enjoys my chin-chin when he eats during his tea time.
Chief Mabiaku always went the extra mile for people. In his lifetime, he trained more children than he had. He was seen as a rallying point for the entire Iyashere family.
Because there was no place to stay, my father took me to Chief Mabiaku's house at Okere Road. And that was where we bonded. And such a man who took a stranger as his son and gave him all the trust you can think of. The man trusted me, the children trusted me, to the extent that the children would say, Uncle Sam, go and tell Daddy we are going to Delta Cinema. They say that because they know that if I tell Daddy, Daddy will give us the money. But if any other person did, he will not. That was the level of trust we had, both of us.
And on the 18th of November 1980, 35 years ago, when I had an accident just outside Benin City, I was then on a journey with my brother to the Niger Delta to make a film of women who were making frying gari from gas flares. I thought that was interesting. When a trailer hit our car and I was sitting behind the driver, and the impact was directly on me. I went into coma straight. I didn't know where I was, but my brother told me what happened thereafter. Nobody came to our help, and I was lying there bleeding when Chief Mabiaku was coming in his car from Warri, and my brother waved him down and he stopped to give a help. My brother said he was wearing a white agbada, and he helped to carry me into his car and took me to the hospital in Benin, where I was to be treated. And there, the nurse said I was likely to die, and he moved me with the help of Dixon Amagada to Benoni Hospital, where I revived. Chief Mabiaku's help was unique. He didn't know me, but he found that here was a helpless person, and he gave every help. And if I'm alive today, I owe it to the help that Chief Mabiaku gave to me.
Chief Gabriel Enyoluwa Mabiaku passed on to the glory of God on the 21st day of August 2015 at the age of 89. He is survived by his wives, 25 children, 55 grandchildren, and 11 great-grandchildren. He is also survived by a brother and numerous relatives. Chief Gabriel Enyoluwa Mabiaku lived an exemplary life as a leader and role model, and his memory is forever etched in the hearts of his loved ones. These drums may have stopped beating, but his song echoes on, and his legacy lives.